Hi guys, Darth Deuce is back again with the final Marvel Legends single figure from the Marvel X-Men Apocalypse BAF wave from Hasbro. And we're going to take a look at the figure I was most anticipating from this wave, which is the new Magneto figure. Magneto is my favorite Marvel character, period. He's my favorite Marvel character. I've been wanting, I guess, a good version of Magneto for a while, or a better version, I guess. I have the Marvel Select Zombie Magneto and Standard Magneto, which are good figures, but they're not Marvel Legends scale, so it's hard to use them with that display. Their articulation's a little dated in the sculpts. Some of them are, the face sculpt's a bit sketchy on the standard one. So really wanting a new Marvel Legends Magneto. I know people have been. And this figure's been a really sketchy one. People, it seems like, either really like it a lot or they're just meh. So we'll see how I feel about it. And it's mainly due to the costume choice, which I'll get into later. But here he's in the packaging. You've got the Build-A-Figure Marvel's Apocalypse, the X-Men logo. Right, Legend Series, the figure, X-Men Marvel's Magneto. Don't want to confuse it with any other Magneto. Image of Magneto on the side, just looks cool. Same on the other side. Pretty cool product shot of the figure on the back. And then a really brief bio says, living up to his namesake, Magneto is the master manipulator of magnetism, controlling and using its energy to defeat his enemies. Got the Apocalypse BAF, all the figures that you need to complete the BAF, and I have previously reviewed every other figure in the wave besides Apocalypse. So check those out if you want to. But that's pretty much it for Magneto in the packaging here, so I'm going to get him out. We'll take a closer look. Alright, now we have Magneto out of the packaging, and this figure is really, really cool. I am definitely on the side of really liking this figure, but that's probably because I'm not as bothered by the fact that it isn't his classic costume. I would have liked his classic costume, yes, the red and purple, but I do really like this one. I have been reading this is the costume he's currently wearing in the comics. I'm not currently reading those comics, but I have seen images, and I am a fan of this look. I think this look does look really cool. I like the color scheme, and the red and the black looks really cool. And I think it's a nice sort of modernization of the classic costume in the sense that it keeps some of the elements of the classic costume, but is still sort of a modern look. So I like that. Now, yes, I would have liked the Uncanny X-Men outfit probably a little bit better, that white and black one, or the black and white one. The Marvel Now look, pretty much, I would have probably preferred that look, but I think this one still is really, really cool. And just through going through the figure, you'll see that there's a lot of things about this figure that definitely make me think that they're going to eventually retool this into a classic Magneto anyways, so that figure will come eventually. It does come with the BAF piece. Of course, he comes with the right arm of Apocalypse, and that's the figure we'll be taking a look at next, as well as an overview of the whole wave, so stay tuned for that one. But there is that. So now, let's get into the figure, and one of the coolest things is definitely the head sculpt. I think the head sculpt is really good. It does come with an alternate one, which we'll cover later. But the helmet, I think, looks fantastic. The black was given this nice sort of really subtle sort of metallic, sort of shiny sort of paint to make it look a bit more metal, I suppose, than his costume, which I think is really cool. I think it sits perfectly on the head. The helmet doesn't look oversized or anything. The spacing between his face and helmet looks really good. Yeah, I think the shape of it looks super cool. The red trimming looks really nice for the most part. On this side is actually really well done. On this side, they did miss the mark just a little bit, but it's not as bad as I've seen some other people's figures. What I will say, though, is the red paint on the front is pretty thin. I can see the black coming through on this side, as well as a little bit on the inside of this part of the helmet, which is unfortunate. And the face itself looks really good. He's got just a stern look. He's got the gray eyebrows, look good, and the eyes are whited out, which is really cool, but it's also really cool. They have a purple outline around the eyes to simulate, well, obviously him using his mutant abilities, which I think is really cool, which matches some of his other accessories that come with this figure, so I think that's really awesome. He has this cape here, which is the collar, the shoulder plate, and the cape is all one piece. The cape itself is a really dark purple on the back. It doesn't go all the way to his feet, but it has this really nice sculpted detail, and it's flowing and everything looks really cool. On the inside, it's red. This is accurate to the comics, I am pretty sure. Shoulder pads are pretty cool. And the collar is very reminiscent of his original costume. These shoulder pads are attached to the front, but not to the actual cape itself, so they move outwards, and if you wanted to, you can put them out like that if you so desired. I don't like the look of that as much. I like them tucked under the cape, and I think that's how they're supposed to be. But you can do that if you want to. The majority of the body mold I think is really cool. It's not like it's like obviously a fit person's body, but it's not like a super muscular one, which I think is appropriate for Magneto. I'm not sure if this is a reuse of a body or not, but the ab crunch is like hidden really well on this torso, so I think that's really cool. The black is nice. It's just, you know, standard matte black, and you've got this, for the most part, well applied red trim on the costume. There is a bit of a scuffage right here, but that's not super noticeable. It does continue on the back, which looks pretty good, and is arguably actually better applied on the back than the front, which is kind of annoying, but is what it is. On the arms here, you do have the gauntlets. You have one of his sets of hands here. He does come with this one set of hands, which is in a translucent purple to replicate him using his magnetic abilities. And some people don't like these, some people do. I actually like them. There's plenty of times in the comics where he's depicted when he's using his abilities for his hands to glow, and it's usually the color purple is associated with his power effects. So I think those do look good, and I like the sculpted gestures of them. And the legs look good, and the boots look pretty cool as well. It's the matte red. Gauntlets are good as well. They're actually a separate piece, so they can be removed if you unplug the hands. And I think he's overall a really good looking Magneto figure. Again, it's really just down to personal taste, I think, when it comes to this figure. Because it's a solid action figure on its own, but if you're not a fan of the costume, you're just not going to enjoy the figure as much as someone who does enjoy the costume like I do. In terms of articulation, he's pretty good. He has a ball joint in the head, so you get some pivot, a decent amount of up movement, quite a bit of down movement, but you might sort of move the helmet a bit, so you just want to be careful of that. Ball hinges at the shoulders, which move pretty good out forward. These shoulder pads do move out of the way, though I guess some poses they'll look a little weird at certain angles, but those do move out of the way. So with the bicep, a double hinge at the elbow, which is looking like, because of the forearm, they don't move too far past 90 degrees. It's a little unfortunate. Ball hinges at the wrists. Ab crunch, which moves really well far forward. Moves decently far back, but they just didn't completely paint all the way. But it's not too bad. Swivel at the waist. Ball hinge at the hips, which have a decent amount of movement. The kick forward actually pretty far. Swivel at the thigh. Double hinges at the knees. Swivel cut at the boots. Hinges at the ankles and move really far up, really far back, and pivot. So he has pretty good articulation. Pretty much all you're going to need for a Magneto figure, I'm thinking. And in terms of accessories, he comes with quite a few bits of stuff. So obviously the stuff he has on right now, these translucent purple effects. He does come with the same sort of electricity lightning effects that came with the Storm figure from this wave, and again the Thor Ragnarok 2-pack. Again, these are some, I guess, controversial accessories. Some people think these aren't very good effect pieces for his abilities. In the current comics and in a lot of the comics, I mean, he's shown when he's using his abilities to have like lightning or electricity or something crackling from his body while using his magnetic abilities. I think they don't work so well if you're using them to actually make it look like he's using his powers, but I do like them to kind of make it look like he's channeling his abilities and he's channeling his powers. I think that looks pretty cool, and you can sort of... I'm not doing a very good job, but because I don't want to waste a whole lot of time here. But you wrap them around the hands. I kind of like how that looks. It kind of looks like he's channeling his abilities, ready to face off. I think that looks really cool, actually. If I had him on a flight stand and had it like that, I think that would look really, really cool. So I do like the lightning effects. I think they're really cool, and they're definitely better than nothing at any rate. So I like that. He comes with 2 interchangeable hands, so if you don't want the translucent hands, you do get 2 pair of fisted hands. So I can swap these out, pop that off. They swap pretty easily. So there you can just have some standard bald fist hands, just have them look kind of upsetty. So that also looks really cool. And then lastly, he also comes with an unmasked head, which I know a lot of people are happy about. I think it looks really good. I think this sculpt is great. Got this stern look. The eyes are painted really well. The eyebrows look good. Hair's quite nice. It's this big flowing white hair, definitely 90s-esque Magneto. And it's got just this very subtle, I think, blue wash in the hair to kind of bring out the details. And I can pop that head on for you. And just remove that head. And you can pop this one on. It's pretty easy to do. And I think that looks pretty good. One thing I will say though is that this head sculpt, from what I've seen from the images from comics, is actually inaccurate for this costume. While Magneto's been wearing this costume, his hairstyle has actually been a much more short crew cut sort of go than the more 90s longer hair look. So this head sculpt is sort of inaccurate, but this also kind of supplements my theory that we're going to be getting a standard or a classic costume Magneto at some point. But this still looks really good. I'm not complaining really. It's just an observation. One thing I want to point out also too before I forget is that the way the cape is, there's this hole, or the hole and peg system like most capes, but the peg has these little side panels, so you can't peg it in all the way. It keeps the cape somewhat elevated to keep it like this, I guess. So for the way they have it, they wanted to keep the cape somewhat further away from the body, have it maybe flowing out more. Again, I don't know, maybe some people won't like that. I think it's fine. I think it looks good, but I can see some people may be being annoyed by that. But yeah, so that is pretty much it for Magneto. We're going to do some size comparisons though, obviously. Hopefully get those done pretty quickly, but he's pretty standard 6-inch, so I guess here he is with Wolverine from this way, which is a shorter figure. And I think that's a pretty good scaling there. Again, here he's with Madrox, which uses the bike cap mold. About the same height. Magneto might be just ever so slightly taller, but I think that looks good. Here he is with Sabretooth from this wave on the Hyperion body mold. Sabretooth's just a bit bigger, so I think that is a decent scale. And then lastly, or I guess first, here he is with Colossus. Colossus significantly bigger. And then with an even bigger figure, he is with the first 10 years Hulk, which I've been using a lot for these videos. Hulk is significantly bigger. So I think the scaling is good. And overall, I think this Magneto is a really, really cool figure. I really like it a lot. Of course, I'm going to be biased because Magneto is my favorite character, and I also do enjoy this costume. So I'm going to like it more. But I think he's a really good addition to the wave. I like all of his accessories. I like his articulation. I like pretty much everything about him. Some of the paint could have been just slightly better QC-wise, but aside from that, really do enjoy this figure a lot. I'd say if you're collecting Marvel Legends, and especially X-Men figures, 100% recommend this figure. I'd say definitely the best Magneto figure out there right now that it doesn't include like import or anything. So he's a good, even if you're not too fond of this costume, he's probably a good placeholder until a classic one comes out. And if you're a Magneto fan, 100% recommend get this guy. He is super cool. But I really do like it a lot. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. My next video will be the Apocalypse BAF and the Wave overview. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching again. Let me know in the comments, what you think in the comments down below. I'll see you all in the next video.